صباح الخير، اهلا وسهلا. شكرا جزيلا لحضوركم معنا اليوم في مناسبه بالفعل يمكن من اشد المناسبات حزنا على اليونيسف وعلى الاطفال بشكل عام، اطفال العالم وبالذات اطفال سوريا، بينما نحيي 6 أعوام منذ بدايه الحرب الضروس في داخل سوريا. نأسف على التأخير بسبب الأحوال الجوية، وسمعت الآن المؤتمر الصحفي مع ضيوفنا. أحب أن أقدم السيد زيد ديراني، سفير اليونيسف الإقليمي في الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا. زيد عازف البيانو الشهير من الأردن معنا اليوم خصيصا لهذه المناسبة. زيد ديراني، تفضل. شكرا.
Thank you, Juliet. It's a... We're good? There we go. Oh, now I can hear myself. It's a great honor to be here with you this morning, although on this very sad occasion. I would like to tell you a little bit about this song that we put together. Its inspiration, the team that created it, and what we hope to achieve with it. The idea for the song actually came from the inspiration of the children of Syria. And we lost electricity, right? Can you guys hear me? Can we go ahead?
Yes, yes.
Oh, cool. All right, great. So, well.
Can you replace him, please? Because of the because of the mic. Sure. Please.
All right.
There we go.
Oh,
thank you so much. Just a second.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Would like to share with you a little bit about the inspiration behind the song, which actually came from my interactions with my nephew of 4 years old and my niece, who is just going to turn 1 year old in April. When I am with my nephew and my niece, I don't have children of my own. When I'm interacting with them, you just can't help but to put yourself in others' shoes. You know, the little details that make children children, the sparkle in their eyes, their curiosity, their love for life. When you see that, and then just think for a moment, if you close your eyes and put yourself in someone else's shoes, what if those children were actually born just a few miles away from where they are right now in Jordan? They're going to be in the midst of war and the rubble and destruction. Their toys are going to be amidst the rubble. If you can internalize for a moment and feel what it would be like to be there, to have your loved ones there, caught in the crossfire, how would you feel? That's how the song came together. Then one thing that really made the song take flight was when it was recorded on location in Syria. Those displaced children, Ansam, 10 years old, displaced child, with her friends, also displaced children in Syria. When they added their voices, when we saw the video footage, when we saw their love for life, the determination in their eyes, that's what inspired us. I mean, they're giving us the message, and they're giving the message to the whole wide world. Life is not over. You know, life is precious and beautiful and worth living. And this song is really their message to reclaim their childhood. The concept of the song actually came together through my friend, Juliet Tuma, who emailed me when I was in Madrid about a concept of why don't we create a song to, as we launched the 6-year report on Syria. And I thought it was fantastic, because what better way really to communicate the message of the children to so many people around the world but through music. And that's how we started putting the components together. Our good friend also at UNICEF Middle East North Africa, Philip, was able to coordinate the whole project together, put it, just incredible effort. The footage was all done on location, nothing in stage from what you see. In Syria, UNICEF Syria office, put it all together on that front. The Arabic lyrics were written by a very good friend of mine who I consider to be my Lebanese brother, Zade Rahbani. Oh, he's with us today. And the music was produced by David Santisteban in Madrid, my music producer. And that's how we were able to put the whole project together and really amplify the message of the children of Syria to the whole wide world. I hope, actually today we're playing it for the first time, so I hope you'll enjoy it.
شكرا ألف شكر زيد ديراني. زيد ديراني من دون التعاون لم نكن نستطيع أن نطلق هذه الأغنية اليوم، فألف شكر على إحدائك الألحان الموسيقى، والشكر الجزيل للطاقم، طاقم اليونيسف في المكتب الإقليمي، طاقم اليونيسف في سوريا على العمل اللي بدأوه خلال الأشهر والأسابيع السابقة يعني ليرى هذا العمل الضوء في الواقع. فألف شكر. نعرض اليوم أغنية دقة قلب لأول مرة، فلنسمع الأغنية وفلنسمع صوت الأطفال. شكرا.
بالصوت الواحد أعلى
someone here, perhaps this is the most important soundbite, and it's about this invisible suffering of children. As much as we see the destruction and the devastation, I'll hand over to you, Geert, in a minute, and I'll say a few words in Arabic. حنشوف مقطع من رحلة لسوريا مدتها 3 أيام قام فيها مدير اليونيسف الإقليمي غيرت كابلاري متواجد معنا اليوم في زيارة لدمشق، لحمص، لحلب. كنا شهود عيان على الدمار، بس دقيقتين مع الدمار على الفيديو اللي أخذته اليونيسف من هالزيارة، وبنكون مع الأستاذ خيرت بعد الفيديو. السيد خيرت كابلاري مدير اليونيسف الإقليمي في منطقة الشرق الأوسط وشمال أفريقيا بعد الدقائق عن الرحلة إلى سوريا. Geert Cappelaere, Regional Director for UNICEF in the Middle East and North Africa Office, for a few minutes on his reflections to the visit to Syria over the past few days.
Many thanks, Juliet. Shukran, Sabah al-Khair. What can I add to the words, the lyrics of this incredibly beautiful, incredibly powerful song? And again, Zade, and everyone, Ansam, and all the children. An incredible, powerful moment there. So what to add? We maybe start by thanking you, colleagues, friends from the media. I really appreciate you being so humorous here with us today. And thank you for helping us, keeping the voice of Syrian boys and girls out there, not only here today in Beirut, Lebanon, but to keep the voice of boys and girls of Syria loud and clear out throughout the world, even 6 years into the war. And after 6 years of war, even today, more than ever, we need you as media to continue getting the voice of children out. So thank you so much for being here Thanks, Zade and Jari and everyone for, as I said, an incredibly powerful song, and I hope that it is a song that is going to be played on the waves, not only today, but for many days, months, years to come, reminding us of the suffering children are going through in Syria. Today, we mark indeed that very sad 6 years of war in Syria. And let us be very clear, the war is far from being finished. It has been a brutal war. 2016, as the report is saying, has been the worst for children, the worst of 6 years of war. In 2016, colleagues, every 6 hours in Syria, a child got killed or severely injured. Every school day, every single school day in Syria in 2016, a child got killed or severely injured simply because that boy or girl decided to go to school or was sitting classes. 255 children have been killed or severely injured in Syria on their way to school or sitting in the classroom in 2016. Now these figures may not say the entire reality, and that's why we've decided that I would go to Syria this week to mark with Syrian boys and girls, to mark with Syrian families this very sad 6th year of war. And I come back after 3 days of traveling. As Juliet said, we were in Damascus, we were in Homs, and we were in Aleppo. I come back with what I would call, after 20 years myself being a humanitarian worker, with an observation of devastation that I have never ever seen in my 20 years of career. The devastation in Syria is truly unprecedented. Devastation at 3 levels. We just saw the footage of a few minutes, but I can tell you we could have gone on for 15, 20 minutes of driving through rubble. Devastation of infrastructure. Today in Syria, just an example, 7,000 schools are not any longer used for the purpose of educating children. 7,000 schools are not any longer serving as schools because most of them have been either completely destroyed or are being used for other purposes, including sheltering people or military purposes. But the devastation, friends, goes beyond that. What we speak less about, what is less visible, is the devastation of the social fabric. Millions of children in Syria have been uprooted. 2.5 million children, Syrian children, had to leave their homes, had to leave their country, and are today living, thanks to the generous support of neighboring countries such as Lebanon, such as Turkey, Jordan. But the children, that's not home for them. They are living as refugees. More than 3 million children inside Syria have left their homes and are living in displacement shelters. So the social fabric being devastated because children do not have any longer something we all would call home. Destruction of social fabric is very, very important, an element that we should not be overlooking. 5.8 million children today inside Syria are living of urgent humanitarian need. 5.8 million children in Syria are living of dependency of what we as international humanitarian community can offer them. Devastation of social fabric, because are there in the world more generous people than people in the Arab region? Devastation of some of the core values the Arab world should be known about. Children having to live off dependency, 5.8 million children. But the devastation for children goes even beyond that. I think it is fair to say that it is a devastation of childhood. Children, as Zade said, and how powerfully translated into the song, children in Syria have lost their childhood. They have lost the opportunity to go to school. They have lost the opportunity to live as part of a home, in a home, part of a caring family. Children have lost the opportunity to simply play and enjoy. Children have seen atrocities throughout Syria. Children's childhood being devastated. However, colleagues, friends, I have left Syria yesterday night, not only with devastation in my mind. I have left Syria, and that can surprise you, but I have left Syria with hope. Children do not want us to be desperate. Children do not want to be referred to as a lost generation, because what Ansam, the singer, told me when I met with her in Damascus 2 days ago, is that she doesn't want to be part of a lost generation. She doesn't see herself as part of a lost generation. Children want to move on. And probably the starkest image that is in my mind after 3 days of Syria is leaving Homs city the day before yesterday, because 6:30 in the morning we had to travel to Aleppo. We were leaving the place where we were staying, driving, similar to the scenes we have seen, driving, and without exaggerating, for 15-20 minutes in the midst of rubble, as you just saw the footage. And I can tell you, driving 15 minutes in the midst of rubble, it does something with you. But then, suddenly, and it is an incredible moment, suddenly, we saw 3, 4, 5, and then tens of children walking with their backpacks on their way to school. In the midst of rubble, children going back to school. And I was extremely proud to be at that moment also UNICEF's regional director, proud to read on the back of their backpacks, UNICEF, they were going to school thanks to the incredible efforts of our team inside Syria. A moment I will never forget. Children have hope also in the midst of rubble. Yesterday in Aleppo we were standing in front of a completely destroyed school. And at the same time, a few meters from there, we had these containers where we were offering children back some basic learning. We were filming in the midst of rubble, and you saw maybe the picture, in the midst of rubble, but within the background, the sound of playing children. They are not a lost generation. Absolutely not. Children want to move on. So I do not leave Syria with despair. I leave Syria with a lot of hope, with a message that children want the world to understand. That nothing of the devastation that is there, be it of infrastructure, social fabric of childhood, Nothing of that is yet irreversible, but we need to act now. And therefore, we as UNICEF, we have 5 simple, straightforward asks. The first ask is to any political leader, and I emphasize any political leader with a heart for Syria, any political leader with a heart for Syrian children. You are currently sitting around the tables in Astana and Geneva discussing a possible peace agreement. What the children in Syria ask you is to put aside your political agendas, is to put aside your military agendas, but put at the core of your negotiations the interest of the boys and girls in Syria. It cannot be that children are left off the table. Probably, if there is one factor that brings everyone together, a pulling factor, it could be the interests of boys and girls. So start negotiating your peace, having in mind the children of Syria, putting at the core of your agenda. The second ask is, while the war is still going on, that all parties, and I again emphasize all parties, stop committing grave child rights violations. Stop associating children with armed forces. Stop destroying school buildings. Stop destroying health facilities. All parties need to ensure us, as humanitarian team, that we have at any moment unconditional access to children in need. Today, still too many children are living, over 2.5 million children are living in hard-to-reach areas. Still children we know that are in dire need, but for whatever reasons we are struggling to get access to these children. So we ask immediate unconditional access to all children, including the 280,000 kids in besieged areas. For all of you, including you, the media, get out to the world. That is not yet a lost generation. There is no lost generation. But we need to act now to prevent that ever there will be a lost generation in Syria. And the last ask is to all generous donors, everyone who has generously supported the humanitarian assistance inside Syria and in neighboring countries. Please keep that generosity. Please be even more generous for the children, the boys and girls in Sudan. Syria, sorry. Children, UNICEF as a children's agency needs for 2017 alone $1.4 billion to address the most pressing need for children. It's a huge amount of money, but it is small money if we know when it is well invested, we are not guaranteeing a bright future for children, we are guaranteeing a bright future for Syria as a country. With that, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Geert, for these very moving and sincere words, reflections on the past few days inside Syria. Perhaps just to clarify, the financial ask, our $1.4 billion, is for assistance of children inside Syria, but also those who live in refugee countries. And we have all our facts and figures in this publication that we have produced, and we are also available for any clarification on the figures after the press conference. شكرا جزيلا للإصغاء. نفتح مجال لبعض الأسئلة, questions and answers. Please, the floor is now yours. Thanks.
talking too much.
تفضلي بس تعرفي عن حالك بليز؟
ناجي الحسن من جريدة الحياة. ناجي الحسن من جريدة الحياة. بدي اسأل زيد كلام الأغنية ما في كلمة سوريا، واللهجة اللي عم بيغنوا فيها ما فيها لهجة سورية، هيدي لهجة بيضاء. إنه ليش؟
المسج تبع الأغنية مع إنه هي طالعة من الشام، من بلاد الشام، هي للعالم كله. اللهجة لما بدك الأطفال بالمغرب، بمصر، بالخليج كلياتهم يقدروا يغنوا معها، مشان هيك اخترنا إنه يكون فيها يعني في عندك بعض كلمات هن مثلا أكثر الشوام ممكن يستخدموها أكثر من مثلا بالخليج أو بالمغرب، بس كمان مشان بالتحديد لحتى نقدر نساعد إنه كل أطفال المنطقة يقدروا يفهموا ويغنوا معها.
وكمان إذا سمحتي لي أضيف في سوريا في كذا لهجة في كل البلاد، فالفكرة هي إنه هاي الأغنية بتحكي عن أطفال سوريا يلي عم بيعانوا في كل الدولة، وهي رسالة من أطفال سوريا للعالم، رسالة كثير صغيرة كثير بسيطة بس الأطفال يقدروا يرجعوا الطفولة تبعهم. أسئلة ثانية؟ أسئلة تفضل.
Philip Issa from the Associated Press. I know UNICEF is also involved in lots of water rehabilitation projects. So I wanted to ask you, can you give us a sense of the scope of the damage to the water infrastructure in Syria and how much it's going to cost to repair that? And how much time as well? Thank you.
Thank you so much. A very important question because indeed throughout Syria we have seen over the past years not only people suffering from limited access to drinking water, but also poor sanitation. We have seen over the past year on several occasions that access to water has been used as a tactic of war, and we need to be very clear about that. The level of destruction of the water facilities is for the moment something I couldn't give you a full picture of. I saw, for example, in Aleppo yesterday the destruction of the
Not Khafsa, it was Suleiman al-Halabi station, but I visited, yes.
So the destruction is incredible, but at the same time, also no water was going into the water station because party to the conflict had blocked off the water and wasn't reaching any longer the water station. So the destruction of water facilities throughout the country, while we can't put a figure to it yet, is going to be incredibly huge. So let's be very clear on that, yes. But at the same time, you know, what I saw in Aleppo is immediately very creative solutions. I don't know if you're aware that while some parties were cutting off drinking water and not allowing water to flow to the water station into Aleppo, our teams found a very creative solution, and we have been digging water wells. We have been drilling boreholes 100 throughout Aleppo city, so where we have been accessing groundwater, and where today, in the absence of the water flowing from the Euphrates, where we are able to dig from water wells, we are accessing groundwater and able to provide water through tankering to the population of Aleppo. Of course, very costly. You know, it's a poor alternative to what the existing water system is, but at the same time, we have been guaranteeing that people continue to have access to drinking water.
And just to give us a sense of the scope of it, can you tell us how much perhaps has already been invested in rehabilitation over the last few years?
For the moment, we have not invested at all in rehabilitation, to be very honest. Our focus has been, is, and will in the foreseeable future continue to be just providing drinking water through water tankering. Rehabilitation is even not yet on the table, And if it is coming on the table, it will be first and foremost the responsibility of the Syrian authorities to rehabilitate the water systems. For the moment, that's still not on the table. It is just providing humanitarian assistance through water tankering, costing an awful lot of money.
Okay, thanks. تفضلي.
Samar Abi from the Arab Weekly newspaper. As we see, you have counts of the children killed and injured. Through UNICEF's observations, many children have been affected by chemical weapons because there have been reports of chemical attacks. Does UNICEF have any evidence of traces of chemical weapons on children? And you say it's not too late for the children's generation to be saved. It's not a broken generation, at least not yet. But we know that children in Syria, especially when refugees and also inside Syria, those displaced, have been deprived of education of any kind for the past 6 years. I mean, this is a big gap. How can we fill that gap? I mean, is it logical to say, well, we won't have a generation of people of uneducated generation?
Well, thank you so much. Two important questions. To my knowledge, we as UNICEF, we don't have any evidence of children effect where we can attribute through chemical warfare. Definitely children have been wounded, have been injured, but I don't have any evidence I could share with you today that is related to chemical warfare. So that's on one. Your second question is an important one. We should not underestimate the fact that children indeed have been deprived for many years of education. Yesterday I was sitting in one of those containers next to a girl who for 5 years hadn't been able to go to school. So she was sitting there in 2nd grade as an 11-year-old girl. However, and again a very stark image, for that girl it didn't matter she was sitting in a class with much younger girls and boys. What mattered to her was that she had again the opportunity to have a textbooks, to be able to write, to be taught to learn. They were having a science class to be explained. It was about the brain. So the joy of that child just to be able to reconnect with the education she had lost. And again, we need to take stock of all the years we have lost, but it is not too late to reinvest and to re-engage and to reconnect. We need to be very creative. Some of those children have lost many years. For some of the children, not necessarily going through the formal system of education is the best way forward. So that's why we have UNICEF together with our partners. We have introduced also non-formal education, vocational training, in order to allow children not necessarily fit any longer to go through the formal education system, but still to continue learning. So we are approaching the education gap through a variety of interventions that helps making available for every girl, every child, the education that is at this moment the best fit for that boy or girl. So it's a very flexible, it's a very diverse investment we are making. So not everybody through the formal system, because for some of the children it will be very difficult to reconnect with it. Some of the children, it is maybe more of an aspiration now to become a welder or a mason or having any vocation they feel very fit for. Therefore, again, not losing hope, but what we have lost is serious, but we can recover it.
Okay, شكرا. سؤال أخير زملاء الأعزاء. اوكي، شكرا للحضور، شكرا للاهتمام وشكرا للصداقة والزمالة والتغطية لهذا الحدث المهم. شكرا جزيلا مرة أخرى.